JV tried to label his 7 best men the 7 dwarves. Really? I mean, apart from Darshan, who can pass as dopey, I find it odd that JV is calling us dwarves. I mean, he's the shortest man in Harrow. Oh, actually, it depends. If he's wearing high heels like he is tonight... So I guess tonight, if you don't see him, you'll hear him at least. So I won't spend very long with the introductions. JB's given us exactly 9 minutes and 30 seconds, which is 9 minutes more than what he's got planned for you, Kinnu. On the dance floor, that's what I'm going to say. Now, you see, Jay, I think you've made a mistake. Not in marrying Kinnu, obviously. Choosing your best men, I wouldn't have had 7, I would have had 1. I would have had Cash, you know, Broth Uncle's favourite son-in-law. And the thing with Cash is, you know, he's only ever going to say nice stories. Yeah, fair enough, you won't understand his English. But nice stories, nevertheless. And so, in my opinion, Jay, I think you've committed the deadliest sin of all. Having 7 best men. So with that, I introduce JV's 7 deadly sins.
Thank you, Sachin. I'm Sanjay. I'm kicking off with gluttony, defined as the overindulgence of anything to the point of waste. From a young age, Jay has embraced gluttony and made it undeniably his own. His sister has told me stories of how going out with little Jay was a very frustrating family experience. For one, Jay would always overorder. A few starters, 2 mains, and at least 3 desserts. Now, at age 8, Ruffle and Hemma brushed this aside, believing that Jay was still a grown boy. But at age 18, when they conceded that his height had peaked a decade earlier, Jay's habits became frankly annoying. Ordering as if he were a giant, he would always have masses of leftovers. He would try to mask his sin by mushing the lot into a little packet which he would cover with his napkin. Every time they would go out, it would be the same thing. Truffle would plead for him to order less, but Jay would have none of it, literally. Jay is also a very fussy eater, actually quite like a little baby. To this day, his mummy still has to make Jay some pasta if the rest of the family are having shakotli. And if it's guddy, then poor Hemma still has to put it through a strainer, so poor little Jay doesn't choke on the raijiru. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Hemma still has to put him over her shoulder after the meal to burn. If any of you have seen Jay after a meal, you'll know that it's almost at the point of bursting, literally panting, as his little, tiny, compact body tries to find space for some precious air. Kinnu, some advice for you. With Jay, it's all about quantity, not quality. Come date night, don't bother with fine dining. Just find him a cheap all-you-can-eat, and his panting little heart will be forever yours.
Thank you, Sanj. So my name's Cash. I'm the favourite son-in-law. I'm going to talk about greed. Now, greed is defined as the desire for wealth or possessions. Now, of course, greed can extend to more than just that, and includes the greed for good food, the greed for intoxication such as daru, and of course, the greed for the fairer sex, the ladies. Now, as my good friend Sat, the Luano, would know, that no one epitomizes the desire for wealth better than the Manias. And JB follows the stereotype really well. So every time we go out, he always manages to forget his wallet. Now, we've been out with JV on a number of occasions, and the evening always begins with, "Oh, Cash, I'm so glad you're coming with us, because I've forgotten my wallet. Now, we would believe that this was a mistake if it happened once, twice, or 3 times, but no, luckily we realized, dal mein kuch kala hai bhaiya. And even Kinnu's mum will back me up on this, as JV couldn't buy her a McDonald's fries about 3 weeks ago because he left his house without his wallet. On that note, I'd like to thank Jay for the open bar and all the drinks tonight. It's probably the first time you've ever bought a drink for us. You know, I really don't know how to help you or advise you in all of this. I did try about 2 years ago when you initially told me that you were dating him and you wouldn't listen to me. So all I can say is, good luck, Sally. And I'm going to pass over to Taps.
Envy. Envy is designed as the desire for another's looks, possessions, or lifestyle. It is also associated with the colour green and dogs. Remind you of anyone? Well, let me explain. You see, dogs have this ability to produce an incredible amount of saliva. I mean, really nasty stuff. And you know, they show off about it, and they have it on display all around their mouth. And they spray it whilst barking as well. It's a bit like that classic Tom Hanks movie, Turner and Hooch. Kinnu, you can be Turner, because Jay is definitely Hooch. No, on a more serious note, it comes as no surprise that our Jay is a very envious guy. You see, who would want to be that short, that small, and that dark as a pint of Guinness? I mean, don't worry, Jay. If there are 2 things in life that no one can give you, it's definitely a fat lip and a black eye. But no, it's not all doom and gloom. You know, believe it or not, half of USA are actually envious of Jay. No, seriously, I do mean it. You see, how half the population of USA have to go to a sauna or a treadmill to burn off lots of calories. You see, our friend Jay over here does what no one can, and that is sweat like a pig. You know, people will go and, you know, they'll be in saunas and whatever, but my friend Jay, he will sweat whilst he's crying, whilst he's going for a poo. Christ, he'll sweat even when he's eating ice cream. Jay, you're every USA's obese person's envy. Kinnu, some word of advice. Always wear a gas mask. Always carry a towel and some deodorant. And finally, if and when sharing a drink, make sure you have the first sip. And make sure it's a long one. Because after Jay's had his mouth all over it, you will not want it back.
Hi, my name's Himmel. Wrath is defined as uncontrolled hatred and anger. You're thinking Jay is not an angry person, but let's put it to the test. So all of his best men are not only taller than him, but better than him at everything. Football, pulling women, downing drinks, staying out of jail. Heck, even driving a car. Wait, I can already see that rage in his face. The colour of his face matches his tie. But, let me continue. So his super fine sister, Nellie, decided to give him a present one day. The infamous Bijot. A lovely car, handed it over to Jay. Jay, being the true Guju, thought, Mafat di gadi. I will definitely take it. Mafat. So anyway, he accepted. So he was driving down to his 3rd wedding one day and listening to the bhajans that were in his car. But he couldn't quite concentrate driving, bhajans. There's too much going on. Let's face it, Jay's not a multitasker. Wait. Let me correct myself. He's got the ability to talk and irritate people at the same time. So anyway, as he was driving, too much noise, he wanted to turn the volume down. So he's looking at the steering wheel and he thought, oh, there's a plus button and a minus button. These have got to be volume controls. He's tapping down the volume button multiple times. The car was jerking and suddenly stalled. Jay got frustrated and angry. What is going on? He got out of the car, slammed the door shut, kicked the door with his tiny little legs, and thought, what is going on? He huffed and puffed and salivated. He had no idea what was going on. I don't think he actually realises he was trying to turn the gears down rather than the volume at that point. By the way, people that don't know him don't even know he took 9 attempts to pass a driving test as well. Sorry, he's just corrected me. 6. So, some advice for you, Kinnu. When Jay gets angry, oh, and he will, just calm him down. Then, make sure he pushes your buttons correctly. Take control of his stick and ease him into 5th gear. Otherwise, you're in for a bumpy ride.
So my name's Sachin, and I've got the sin sloth. So those that don't know what a sloth is, it's actually an animal. A hairy, smelly, short, lazy animal. Remind you of anyone, Kinnu? And no, I'm not referring to Cash. Sorry. Okay, so in the terms of sins, a sloth is simply defined as lazy and smelly. So picture this. JV in a nightclub, shoeless Joe's, typical bum dance, downing everybody's drinks. When all of a sudden, his mum's chana bhatura starts rumbling in his stomach. Oh crap. Literally. The JV really needs the loo at this point. So he runs. And those that play football with Jay knows he doesn't run for anything, right? Okay, so he bursts into the loo, takes down his trousers and... Poor Hemandi, all that effort down the drain or down the bog, really. So 20 minutes later, 20 kilos lighter, he reaches over for the toilet roll. There's no toilet roll. He craps himself again. You see, at this point, he really hasn't got many options. He could shuffle to the next cubicle, but JV's lazy, and actually that would be a really bad sight for anybody else in the loo. So he takes the other option, which was, wait for it, to take off his gungie, roll it up, and wipe his bum. True story. And I'm afraid, guys, I swear I saw Jana on the starters because he wore it now. Sorry. And actually, you know what, I swear he still wears that gungie. Are you wearing it now? So Kinnu, my advice is this, right? Make sure you've got plenty of spare gungies in your handbag. And always know where the local RSPCA is, in case you want to hand this sloth back. But remember, they're going to say a sloth is for life, yeah? And we're Indian, so we don't take refunds. He's all yours, I'm afraid.
Hi guys, I'm Pranal, and I'm about to talk about the sin of lust. Lust is defined as an overwhelming desire or craving for something. So you may be mistaken to thinking I'm going to talk about the time when JV chased after Kinnu after stalking her at Cash's wedding. But I'm not about to do that. There's only one story that describes lust best. Dance dollars. You see, there was this one time when me and JV were out in Vegas partying hard, having a few lussies. We'd been out for about 20 minutes, which is more than JV actually managed his entire stag, but Hem's going to talk about that later on. But I digress. We were out at a club, chilling, and then JV gets approached by two girls, Sita and Minnow. They get JV to buy him a few drinks, and then they tell him they work for Vegas's most famous Kathak place. You see where this is going, don't you? They asked JV if he wanted to come with them to their own VIP private area so they could show him their Kathak moves. Our very own innocent Johnny Lever, Shah Rukh Khan, thinks that he's pulled not just one, but two women. So off he goes. He promptly ditches me and goes off with Sita and Minnow behind some black curtains, $1 bills in his hand, thinking he's the shizzle. So I'm waiting at the club, having my drink, and cursing JV for choosing bros before, as usual. 30 minutes go by, still no sign of him. An hour goes by, still no sign. So I decide I'd better go and find the little man. I walk through the curtains and I see JV laid out on a sofa in his brown gungie. The same one from Shoeless Jones, by the way. He's got dollar bills in his hands, while Sita and Minnow are on a stage performing what I can only loosely describe as Kathak moves. Sita sees me and shouts, "Tell the Indian Mr. Chow to give us some more dance dollars. No dancey, no money." Not wanting to hear or see any more, I drag JV kicking and screaming out of there and back to our hotel. You see, the poor guy still thought he'd pulled and the girls were his friends. Kinnu, my advice to you is this: don't ever take JV to Vegas. And if you do, keep him on a tight leash. Oh, and if you do lose him, make sure you check his credit card bill. I hear dance dollars are really expensive in that part of the world.
Thanks, Ronald. My name is Hemel, and the final sin I'm going to talk about is pride. Pride is defined as a sense of one's own proper dignity, value, or self-respect. So, JV, which story do you think I'm going to use which will help the audience understand how this sin relates to you? That's right, your stag. For the men who are married, you'll understand that a stag is a chance for you to have one last weekend of mayhem with your boys. A weekend where anything goes. So you can imagine how excited we were that we would get a weekend with JV to celebrate his freedom one last time. Unfortunately, it did not quite work out that way. You see, what started as a stag actually ended as a lad's holiday. The reason, you wonder? This is because the stag did not make it out, not one, not two, but any single night. The one afternoon he did show his face, his pride took yet another blow when a Kathak dancer pointed at his body parts and happened to comment out how her 9-year-old boy was more of a man than JV, let's just say. With his pride gone and self-respect at 0 level, you're thinking, he must still have some level of dignity, right? Wrong. See, it's hard to hold your head up high, or here with your JV, when you haven't showered for 3 days, wearing the same clothes which now have stains in places that only babies or old men can get away with, and scrapping for food that's been left over from 2 nights ago. Kinnu, we all now know that JV is not a man of pride or self-respect. But please do us all a favour and just make sure he improves his hygiene habits.
Somebody say some good words for him.
So ladies and gentlemen, apologies. we won't keep you any much longer. We can already see Jay's forehead sweating and stressing at the fact that we're not going towards his itinerary. Now on to the most beautiful looking person in the room tonight, Ratu. No, seriously, Kinnu, you look absolutely stunning. Would you all agree? Not just this evening, but throughout the wedding events. Thank you for saying yes to JV. Yes, he could have done with a bit more Jaran a lot, but it's clear to see that you have made him the happiest man in the world. And in JV, you have found someone who will always liven up any room he walks into with his addictive and funny personality. But most of all, beneath all that, he is a hard-working, dedicated and dependable person who will treat you like a princess every day. So ladies and gentlemen, if you could all raise your glasses and join us in a toast. To JV and Kinnu, wishing you years of love, laughter and short kids. To JV and Kinnu.